Hello, wonderful viewers of Wealthwise 84. Buckle up because today we're embarking on a rollicking ride through the life of none other than Walt Disney himself. And trust me, this is no ordinary documentary. You're in for a treat, packed with chuckles and guffaws as we uncover the hilariously untold history of a man who became a legend. Born in 1901 in Chicago, young Walt was a bit of a mischief maker. Picture this, a 4-year-old Walt drawing mustaches on unsuspecting family portraits. But his humor wasn't just for giggles, it was a spark of creativity that later lit up the world. As he grew, so did his ambitions. Despite facing financial woes that would make anyone's hair stand on end, Walt remained as buoyant as a cartoon character. In 1920, he found a kindred spirit in Works, a man with a name as quirky as his drawing skills, and together they began creating cartoons that made the ones before look as lively as a doorknob. Now folks, if you're enjoying this jolly jaunt through history, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Join the Wealthwise 84 family for more animated anecdotes. Walt's early ventures, like the ill-fated Laugh-O-Grams, were financial flops that would have sent anyone else packing. But Walt, with the tenacity of a barnacle, clung to his dreams. His resilience led to the creation of a certain mouse that you might have heard of. Mickey Mouse didn't just pop out of thin air. He evolved from a rabbit named Oswald, who, let's face it, wasn't quite the heir apparent Walt hoped for. In 1928, Walt, with the help of Works and a squeaky voice that would become iconic, introduced Mickey Mouse to the world in Steamboat Willie. It was a moment of pure magic, akin to stumbling upon a treasure chest in your backyard. Mickey wasn't just a character, he was a beacon of joy during the Great Depression, a reminder that laughter could still echo through even the darkest of times. Walt Disney wasn't just a man, he was a walking storybook, brimming with tales that could make a grown man giggle and a cynical woman believe in fairy tales. His life was a vibrant mosaic of triumphs, trials, and a heckload of doodles. And if you think his creations had character, wait till you hear about the man behind the magic. Did you know that Walt faced more rejection letters than a mailbox could hold? It's true. One of his early gigs was creating ads for a theater. Now, while most would be ecstatic at the chance to have their artwork plastered all over town, Walt was paid in free theater tickets. Talk about a draw for the audience, but Walt's sense of humor never waned. One time he said, "I love Mickey Mouse more than any woman I've ever known." Talk about commitment. I mean, I love pizza, but I don't think I'd marry it. Walt's journey to success was like climbing a mountain on roller skates. In 1923, he founded Disney Brothers Studio with his brother Roy, a man so frugal he probably thought a penny was a frisbee for ants. With Roy handling the business and Walt weaving stories, the studio began its ascent. Remember Oswald, the lucky rabbit? Well, he wasn't so lucky for Walt. In a twist that could make a soap opera blush, Walt lost the rights to Oswald due to a sneaky contract clause. But instead of throwing in the towel, Walt saw it as an opportunity. He famously quipped, "All the adversity I've had in my life, all my troubles and obstacles have strengthened me." Now that's a man with more bounce than a room full of rubber balls. Speaking of bouncing back, it's through these trials that Mickey Mouse was born. Imagine a mouse creating a kingdom. It's like David taking on Goliath with a cheese platter. And boy, did Mickey charm the pants off everyone. With his circular ears and jovial antics, he danced right into the hearts of millions. As we chuckle at these anecdotes, it's clear that Walt Disney's life was a canvas of imagination, painted with the brushes of determination and humor. But hey, don't forget, this is just the first part of our delightful dive into Disney's world. So, if you've enjoyed this whimsical whirlwind tour, don't forget to subscribe to Wealthwise 84. Because, my friends, we're just getting started. And remember, as Walt Disney himself said, laughter is timeless. Imagination has no age, and dreams are forever. So keep dreaming, keep laughing, and keep watching, because the story of Walt Disney is far from over. After the roaring success of Mickey Mouse, Walt's imagination was like a popcorn machine, popping with ideas left and right. He once quipped, "I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse." And let me tell you, that mouse was just the beginning. Following Mickey's footsteps, or should I say, mouse prints, came a gaggle of characters that could fill a comedy club. We're talking about the illustrious Donald Duck, who had a temper shorter than a fuse on a firecracker, and Goofy, the dog who made us question if he had noodles for brains. And let's not forget the fairest of them all, Snow White, whose 7 dwarfs could outfunny any stand-up comedian. But creating these animated icons wasn't like drawing stick figures in the sand. Oh no, it was a Herculean task. Walt's mantra was, always try to make the impossible possible. And he did just that with the 1937 release of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, the first ever full-length animated feature. Talk about breaking ground. Walt broke a whole construction site. But the journey to its creation was bumpier than a toad's back. Budgets ballooned like a kid's party gone wild, and critics dubbed the film Disney's folly. Can you imagine? Calling the eventual crown jewel of animation a folly. Well, Walt proved them wrong, and Snow White went on to rake in more green than a lawnmower in spring. By now, you're probably thinking all this success must have been a walk in a beautifully animated park, right? Not quite. Walt's path was strewn with more obstacles than a game of hopscotch in a boulder field, yet his unwavering resilience and humor were the magic ingredients that kept the Disney dream afloat. Walt, our mustachioed maestro of mirth, wasn't content with just conquering the silver screen. Oh no, he had dreams bigger than a giant's sneeze. He envisioned a place where parents and children could frolic together, free from the humdrum of everyday life. A place he fondly dubbed Disneyland. Now, creating a theme park isn't like making a sandwich. You can't just slap some joy on a slice of land and call it a day. Walt's idea of Disneyland was so revolutionary, it sent bankers scurrying like they'd seen a ghost. They thought Walt was bonkers, but our dauntless dreamer didn't let that dampen his spirits. He once said, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible," and boy, did he stick to that motto like gum on a shoe. Walt was determined to turn his fantasy into reality, even if it meant learning the cha-cha with a pack of wild raccoons. The path to building Disneyland was as smooth as a roller coaster ride with square wheels. Every turn brought a new challenge, from financial hiccups to design dilemmas. They even faced a plumbing crisis on opening day, leading Walt to choose between working toilets and functioning drinking fountains. Talk about a stinker of a situation. But Walt's unwavering resolve is shown brighter than a lighthouse in a sea of doubt. On July 17, 1955, Disneyland flung open its gates and the world gasped in awe. Walt Disney's fantastical vision had leaped off the drawing board and into reality, transforming a humble orange grove into the happiest place on Earth. Visitors were mesmerized by the spinning teacups, the enchanting castle, and the pirates who were more animated than a debate club on a caffeine high. Disneyland wasn't just a park, it was a love letter to the child in all of us. A place where dreams didn't just live, they boogied down Main Street. Now, Walt's path to creating Disneyland was riddled with more obstacles than a game of Minesweeper. For starters, the budget for this dreamland ballooned like a blimp, from an estimated $4 million to a whopping $17 million. Walt's wallet was weeping, but his spirit unbreakable. Funding was a fiasco. The banks were as stingy as Scrooge McDuck, so Walt had to turn to television networks to strike a deal. It was a pioneering move, blending entertainment mediums like a smoothie of innovation. ABC jumped aboard the Disney train, and the Disneyland TV show was born, funding the park and sprinkling a little bit of pixie dust on the financial woes. But the troubles didn't end at the cash register. No siree. As construction chugged along, rumors spread like wildfire. Some whispered that Disneyland was just a ruse, a front for something more sinister. Skeptics sneered, naysayers nattered, but Walt? He just chuckled and kept on trucking. Now let's talk controversies. Disneyland, for all its wonder, wasn't immune to a scandal or two. In the early days, some criticized the park for having areas where alcohol was served, quite the hullabaloo for a family destination. And then there was the infamous Yippie invasion of 1970, where a group of protesters took over Tom Sawyer Island, raising quite the ruckus. But amidst the tumult and tumbles, Disneyland became the beacon of joy and imagination that Walt dreamed it to be. The park, from its opening day to the present, has welcomed an astronomical number of guests. On an average day, the foot traffic in Disneyland can swell to over 50,000 visitors, eager to bask in the magic. And did you know that since its inception, Disneyland has welcomed over 800 million guests? That's more people than the entire population of Europe. Statistics aside, what truly kept Disneyland thriving through challenges and controversies was the unwavering commitment to Walt's vision. A vision where laughter echoed through the corridors, where the impossible was made possible, and where every guest left with a heart a little lighter and a smile a little brighter. From the enchanting realms of Disneyland to the farthest corners of the globe, Walt's dream has woven its way into the very fabric of our culture. The Disney brand, like a chameleon on a disco floor, has evolved spectacularly over the decades. It's not just a name, it's a beacon of joy, a symbol of dreams, and an empire of unparalleled imagination. Let's talk numbers, because who doesn't love a good stat with their morning coffee? The Disney brand is valued at an astronomical $130 billion, making it one of the most powerful and recognizable brands on the planet. And the Disney parks? Oh, they're just a global sensation with a dash of fairy dust. From the sunny shores of California to the bustling streets of Tokyo, there are 6 Disney resorts worldwide, each with its own unique flavor of Disney magic. But Walt's influence doesn't stop at theme parks. No, sir, the Disney media empire is as vast as the ocean where Ariel found her voice. From blockbuster movies that have us singing in the rain to television networks that keep us glued to our couches, Disney's reach is as wide as Goofy's grin. And let's not forget the merchandise. There's enough Disney swag to dress an army of Mickeys with profits that would make Scrooge McDuck do the tango. Now, any empire has its share of hiccups, and Disney's no exception. Controversies have pirouetted through its history like dancers in a ballet. First up, let's dive into the Marvel universe, where superheroes and social commentary collide. As Marvel embraces a more diverse cast of characters and storylines, some fans have raised their shields like Captain America, accusing the franchise of succumbing to woke culture. Critics argue that storytelling is taking a backseat to social agendas, sparking debates as fiery as one of Iron Man's repulsors. But hold on to your hats, because we're not done yet. The new Snow White movie has also snowballed into a raging blizzard of backlash. Some critics argue that the film doesn't do enough to shake off the old stereotypes, while others believe the very act of remaking such a classic is tantamount to narrative heresy. Like a Disney villain, controversy lurks around every corner. And let's not forget about those who make the magic happen, the employees. Rumors have swirled like a sorcerer's spell about the working conditions in the happiest place on earth. From wage woes to costume calamities, the employees' experiences have sometimes been more Tower of Terror than It's a Small World. But dear Wealthwise 84 viewers, here's the crux of the biscuit. Disney, in all its whimsical wisdom, is not just a brand. It's a living, breathing entity, constantly evolving and adapting to the times. And with evolution comes growing pains. Sure, Disney might stumble, might even fall into a patch of prickly thorns like Sleeping Beauty, but it always gets back up, dusts off its mouse ears, and keeps moving forward. And here's the cherry on top. Walt Disney's influence isn't just about raking in the dough or building fantastical worlds. It's about the cultural impact, the stories that have nestled in our hearts, and the characters that have become our lifelong friends. Disney has shaped generations, taught us to believe in happy endings, and reminded us that sometimes all you need is a little faith, trust, and pixie dust. Because that's what Walt Disney was all about: innovation, imagination, and a healthy dose of pixie dust resilience. He built an empire not just on the stories of yesterday, but on the dreams of tomorrow. And despite the controversies and challenges, that dream lives on, as vibrant and as whimsical as ever. So as we wrap up this epic journey through the world of Walt Disney, let's remember to view the world not just as it is, but as it could be. Let's keep the spirit of Walt alive in our hearts and our minds, laughing all the way to Neverland and beyond. Thank you, loyal Wealthwise 84 enthusiasts, for joining us on this magical, comical, and sometimes controversial ride through the life and legacy of Walt Disney. If you've enjoyed this series, make sure to subscribe for more adventures in history and humor. This is Wealthwise 84, where wisdom and whimsy go hand in hand. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and may your life be a fairy tale of your own making. Until next time, remember folks, to always stay wealthwise.